Have you ever been playing a game and caught yourself stopping to admire the scenery? Looking at things off the normal path of progression? Have you ever wondered what might be over that fence or out that window or beyond that wall that you can't see? Maybe you went as far as to use cheats to go looking for yourself, only to find that usually what you see is what you get. Sometimes, though, you find something that you couldn't have even guessed was there. Whether it be a scrapped playable area or just an overly detailed bit of scenery, exploring these areas can be very interesting. Just like in real life, digital urban explorers seek to look around these abandoned and scrapped areas of games. There are many reasons somebody might want to do this. For some, it's a peek behind the curtain to see what makes the game tick. For others, it's a long look into the uncanny world of missing textures and hallways to nowhere. These areas, and the intrigue behind them, is exactly what we'll be discussing today. Before we dive in, though, I want to get some clarity on just what I mean when I say out-of-bounds areas. Strictly speaking, an out-of-bounds area is any area in a game's map that's deemed outside the playable area or otherwise unreachable by the player. There is some loose terminology I want to establish, though. See, not all out-of-bounds areas are created equal. They come in three types generally: zones, facades, and anomalies. Zones, the one we'll be focused on today, are areas that are designed for play, but at some point are cut and leave a substantial amount of the map inaccessible. Facades are the smaller of the primary two types, which are areas that can be seen, but not touched. Places like 3D skyboxes, fake versions of outdoors that you see through windows. They're interesting to look at, but they usually don't have much to see beyond what's visible already. The third kind is interesting for very different reasons. See, anomalies are places in games that weren't designed at all, but exist due to some glitch or oversight in the game's programming, like the Minus World from Super Mario Bros. Anomalies fall beyond the scope of this video, though, so for all intents and purposes, you can forget they exist for now. What we'll be mostly discussing falls under the zones category. With that clarification out of the way, we can talk more about what makes these out-of-bounds areas interesting. The first and most obvious thing, in my opinion, is that sometimes they allude to the development history of a map you're looking at. For example, Team Fortress 2's Powerhouse. Powerhouse is a control point map set in a hydroelectric power plant. There are many odd things about Powerhouse, like its symmetrical design or its 3 control points, but this takes the cake for the strangest. The first hint you get of something being off is these little ramps for getting in and out of the water. They're not very aesthetically pleasing, but they are functional, and the fact that the water isn't a kill plane. These two factors imply that this area was, at one point, accessible. Editor's note, there's also evidence that there's supposed to be like a hallway connecting either side of this area to their respective spawn rooms, but I assume it was cut for balancing reasons. This on its own wouldn't really be that interesting, except for the next bit. You see, behind these massive red and blue signs, if you clip inside and turn on full bright, you'll see what was clearly at one point spawn rooms, with massive bay windows looking out at each other. Valve, TF2's developers, must have thought this would be one strange oddity too many, as it remains cut to this day. This does, however, inform the way the community sees the map and its history, painting a look into Valve's process that would otherwise be unnoted. While the lost areas of Powerhouse denote a drastic change in layout during development, other finds in games have led to more rumor and mystery and speculation, which in and of themselves makes it a great reason to visit these places, such as the island across the water in GoldenEye 007's first mission, Dam. Dam is a mission that focuses on Bond fighting his way across, well, a dam. Across the water, you can see a small, man-made island with a little building on it. Most players would just assume this is set dressing or a facade, but if you use a GameShark code to access this area, there is collision and a gun pickup inside the building. Not to mention that there is far too much detail here for the limited resources of the N64. It can't be for nothing. All of these things would imply that this was part of the level at some stage, but all the developers who've spoken out about it have given a definitive no to the island being intended for players to ever see, and confusion as to why it's there in the first place. So why was it there? Did someone secretly place it here? Since the game's release, many rumors have spread about the purpose of this island. Some think it's a secret area that went unfinished, or a rogue developer put it in as a calling card to himself. Regardless of the outlandish ideas, I feel like the mystery of the damn island is more interesting than the actual completed part of the map, making it more worth seeing now than ever. Another factor that draws people to these hidden, unused areas is the eerie vibe that they can give off. Many have romanticized this in things like the backrooms or liminal space culture, but nothing quite compares to the authentic feel of looking into one of the more unsettling of these areas. An example of this that really leans in is World of Warcraft's Karazhan Crypt. Now, I'm not as well versed in World of Warcraft as I am the rest of the subjects we've spoken about here, so bear with me. This nearly completed crypt is locked off by a barred gate, tempting players to get inside and have a look around. Through some clever clipping, you can get inside and do just that. Once inside, players are met with a dilapidated ruin left to rot, a crypt filled with mass graves, and an underwater area called the Hanging Sinners, which leaves little to the imagination. In aid of the general creepy vibe some people get from these places, this particular sample is very overt, but I feel like the emptiness and unfinished state of the crypt really push the creepiness factor up a notch. This uncanny horror has its place, and while it can be overbearing at times to hear about, this allure is still very valid. All in all, out-of-bounds areas in video games can be very interesting to explore for many a reason. Whether it be for the look inside of the developer's workflow, the mysterious, illogical spots that have no reason to exist, or the liminal horror that comes with them. The appeal of these areas will never lose that charm to me. But what do you think? If you look beyond the bounds of this video, you can write a comment down below. And while you're there, hit the like button and the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this from me. I've been Voxel64, and I'll see you next month.